My father spent 42 years
small dinner with you next month instead. Hope you understand. R&M. My hands went numb. They were throwing him a retirement party. Without him. I looked at my father, this man who'd worked double shifts to put 3 kids through college, who'd never missed a single one of our school plays, even when he was exhausted, who'd quietly kept this family together after Mom died. And his own children told him not to come to his own celebration. "Dad," I whispered, my throat tight. "This isn't right." He just folded his newspaper and stood up slowly, like he'd suddenly aged 10 years. "They're busy people, honey. Important people. I understand." But I saw the truth in his eyes. He didn't understand. Neither did I.
My father wasn't a complicated man. He never wanted much. A roof over his head, food on the table, and his kids happy. That was enough for James Mitchell. He started working at Morrison & Sons the week after he married my mother. 19 years old, fresh out of high school, with dreams that didn't reach higher than providing for the family he hoped to build. And that's exactly what he did. For 42 years, he walked through those factory doors at 5:30 every morning. Rain, snow, blazing summer heat, it didn't matter. He was there. Third shift became second shift became day shift as the years wore on, and his body couldn't handle the overnight hours anymore. I remember being a little girl, watching him come home with grease under his fingernails and exhaustion carved into his face. But he'd still scoop me up, still ask about my day, still help with my homework at the kitchen table while Mom made dinner. When Marcus wanted to go to business school, Dad picked up weekend shifts. When Rebecca needed money for her wedding, the first one, the expensive one, Dad cashed in his vacation days. When I decided to become a teacher and the salary wasn't much, he quietly paid off my student loans. I only found out years later. He never asked for anything in return, never even mentioned it. After Mom died, something shifted in Marcus and Rebecca. He still talks about union meetings and pension plans. Our colleagues don't relate to that. He's your father, I said, my voice breaking. And we love him, Marcus cut in. But love doesn't mean dragging him into situations where he doesn't fit. You still live in the old neighborhood, Sarah. You don't understand what it's like in our world. Our world. Like they descended to some different universe. Marcus lived in a gated community now, drove a Mercedes, belonged to clubs that had waiting lists. Rebecca married a surgeon, had a house with actual columns out front, and spent her days on charity boards where she rubbed elbows with the wealthy. They'd worked hard for their success. I knew that. Dad knew that. But somewhere along the way, they'd forgotten where they came from, forgotten the man who made it all possible. He deserves better than this, I whispered. He'll get a nice dinner, Rebecca said dismissively. Now I have to run. Pilates at 7. The line went dead. I sat there in the silence, staring at my phone, wondering when my siblings had become strangers, when success had turned into shame, when our father had become someone to hide.
The days leading up to the party were the hardest to watch. Dad tried to pretend everything was normal. He went about his routine like clockwork. Coffee at 6, crossword puzzle by 7, a walk around the neighborhood before lunch. But I noticed the small changes. The way he'd pause at the calendar hanging in the kitchen, staring at that circled date, June 15th, his own retirement party, the one he wouldn't attend. I stayed with him more that week, made excuses about needing to grate papers at his kitchen table, about wanting his company for dinner. Truth was, I couldn't bear the thought of him sitting alone in that house, counting down to a celebration that didn't include him. One evening, I found him in the garage, looking through old boxes, photographs mostly, pictures from the factory, Christmas parties, retirement celebrations for other workers, safety award ceremonies. He was in so many of them, always smiling, always surrounded by coworkers who genuinely seemed to care about him. Found my old badge, he said quietly, holding up a laminated card with a younger version of himself. 42 years. Funny how fast it goes. There was something in his hung up, I heard the silence that followed, the kind of silence that weighs on a person. I pressed my hand against the wall and closed my eyes, fighting back tears. My father was protecting his children's image, even now, even as they broke his heart. Saturday was 3 days away. It was Thursday afternoon when everything shifted. Dad was in the backyard tending to the small vegetable garden he'd kept since I was a child. Tomatoes, cucumbers, green beans. Nothing fancy, but he took pride in it. I was inside making iced tea when the phone rang. I almost didn't answer. We got so many spam calls these days. But something made me pick up. Mitchell Residence, I said. Good afternoon. I'm trying to reach Mr. James Mitchell. The voice was professional, authoritative. Male, probably in his 50s. May I ask who's calling? This is Robert staring out the window. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Dad, should I call him back and confirm? He turned to me, and for the first time in days, I saw
so nobody lost their retirement. The company survived, Dad said quietly. That's what mattered. Jobs were saved. Jennings leaned forward. Sir, you saved that company. You saved 800 jobs, 800 families, and nobody knew it was you. I was sobbing now, unable to stop the tears. All these years, all this time, my father wasn't just a factory worker. He was a hero, a quiet, humble, selfless hero who never wanted credit, never wanted recognition. And his own children had told him he wasn't good enough for their party. The shame of it crushed me. Why didn't you tell us? I whispered. Dad looked at me with those gentle eyes. Because it wasn't about me, sweetheart. It was never about me.
Jennings stood up, a smile breaking across his face. Mr. Mitchell, the reason I came here today wasn't just to thank you personally. It was to invite you to your real retirement celebration. Dad looked confused. I don't understand. When word got out about what you'd done, who you really are, people started reaching out. Maria, Thomas, Angela, myself, and so many others. We've organized something at the bank's conference center, today, 6 o'clock, the same time as Marcus and Rebecca's party. We wanted to honor you properly, Jennings continued, the way you deserve. Will you come? Dad looked overwhelmed, shaking his head. That's too much, really, I don't need... Dad, I said firmly, taking his hand. Let them do this, please. At 5:30, I drove Dad to First National Bank's downtown conference center. He was quiet the whole way, wearing his best suit, the one he'd bought for Mom's funeral and hadn't worn since. I don't know what to say to all these people, he murmured as we pulled up. Just be yourself, I told him. That's all you've ever needed to be. When we walked into the building, my breath caught. The lobby was filled with people, hundreds of them. A banner hung across the main hall, honoring James Mitchell. 42 years of service, a lifetime of impact. As soon as they saw him, the room erupted in applause. Dad froze, his eyes wide with shock. I gently guided him forward. An elderly woman approached first, tears streaming down her face. Mr. Mitchell, you don't know me, but you paid for my granddaughter's seizure medication 20 years ago. She's a teacher now, because of you. A young man in a police uniform stepped forward. You helped my dad keep our house when he got laid off. I became a cop because you showed me what real service looks like. One by one, they came. Factory workers, business owners, teachers, nurses, families with children, each one with a story, each one touched by my father's quiet generosity. Jennings led Dad to the front of the room, where a podium stood. Behind it, a slideshow played, photos of all the people he'd helped, their families, their achievements. Ladies and gentlemen, Jennings announced, his voice carrying through the room. This is James Mitchell, a man who worked 42 years in a factory and changed hundreds of lives without ever asking for recognition. This is what a life well lived looks like. The applause was deafening. Dad stood there, tears running down his face, completely overwhelmed. I stood beside him, crying too, bursting with pride. This was my father's legacy. Not wealth, not status, not country club memberships. Love, service, genuine, selfless impact. And every single person in that room knew his worth. I didn't call Marcus or Rebecca during the celebration. I didn't text them photos or updates. Part of me wanted them to stay in their bubble, networking at their pristine country club party, completely unaware of what they'd missed. But another part of me, the part that still loved my siblings despite everything, knew they needed to see this, needed to understand what they'd done. So I sent one text to the family group chat, sometime around 7:30. You should see Dad right now. I attached a photo. Dad surrounded by people, holding a plaque, his face glowing with genuine joy and tears. My phone rang within 2 minutes. Marcus, where is that? What's going on? His voice was sharp, confused. Dad's real retirement party, I said simply, the one thrown by people who actually know who he is. Silence. Sarah, what are you talking about? So I told him everything. Robert Jennings, the $200,000, the 47 lives, the 800 jobs saved.
I told him about Maria and Thomas and Angela, about the standing ovation and the tears and the gratitude that filled that room. When I finished, Marcus said nothing for a long moment.
How did we not know? He finally whispered. Because you stopped asking, I said, my voice harder than I intended. You stopped seeing him. Rebecca called 10 minutes later, her voice thick with crying. Sarah, is it true? All of it? Every word among the factory workers and modest families. I saw them standing at the back of the room, watching Dad talk with an older couple, listening to him laugh that genuine laugh I loved so much. Marcus's face was pale. Rebecca's mascara was ruined from crying. When Dad finally noticed them, he excused himself and walked. Less than, like you were someone to hide. Dad smiled that gentle smile. You worked hard for your. But it was special. He was special. And finally, everyone could see it. My father taught me that the quietest lives often leave the loudest echoes, that real greatness doesn't demand recognition, it simply serves. And that love, true love,
isn't about what someone can do for you.
It's about what you're willing to give when they need it most. That's the legacy of James Mitchell. That's what true honor looks like. My father is 83 now. He still lives in that same small house, still tends his garden, still smiles that gentle smile that once seemed so simple. But I know better now. We all do. Because sometimes the most extraordinary people are the ones who never ask to be noticed, the ones who give without expecting anything in return, the ones who change the world one quiet act of kindness at a time. If this story touched your heart, I hope you'll share it. Because somewhere out there is someone like my father, someone whose sacrifices go unnoticed, whose love goes unappreciated. Maybe today you can be the one who sees them, really sees them, and tells them thank you. If you have a story about an unsung hero in your own life, share it in the comments below. Let's honor the James Mitchells of this world, together. And if you'd like to hear more stories that remind us what truly matters, subscribe to American Granny Stories, because every person has a story worth telling.